Damn, it's being a hoe. Jeez. It just really does not like your audio, does it? No audio for you. I'm sorry, hon. That's a pain in the fucking ass.
Device default, device, Yeti microphone. Hello, okay. Can you hear me now?
Does it hear you?
It does hear me now.
Yay! Does it hear you?
Wonderful, okay. Everyone, you may have noticed this or not. We did do a recording on February 3rd, but it was only Satan's audio came through, and so we are going to redo that chapter. Thankfully, I guess we only had time for the one chapter, so now we can do the full 2 parts. But yeah, thanks for your patience with the technical
Oh yeah, I forgot
difficulties.
about that. At least like we don't need to redo both parts. I mean, technically the one part we didn't get to, so we only actually have to redo one part.
Right.
Well, that's good at least.
I'll take
All
it for
right.
sure.
We count that as a win, at least in some way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Do you want to start out or should I?
Um, I think I'll start out because you have 2 characters.
Okay.
As soon as I remember my settings to show the work. There we go. Okay. Victory. Okay. You'd like to fight Solix, not to hurt him, but just to compete, to flex that you're better. You already know and trust that he wouldn't leave you on the floor, kneeling in your own blood and shaking from fear. That's not fun, and even if it's Cankry's memory that makes you twitchy about it, it's pretty obvious that Solix has the same reservations. I know. I wouldn't cause you agony or harm, you promise, and rest your hand comfortingly on his shoulder.
That.
Solix opens his mouth, but you deliberately talk over him. You even paused long enough for him to speak, just so you could do it, just to annoy him. Besides the agony of being completely defeated by me, that is, you say cheerfully, and Solix gives you a blackest and most pitched look that anyone has ever given anyone. But that's because I choose that. I don't get to choose my feelings, but I can choose what I do with them. I don't think Dave would make you love him, but even if he did, I know you chose to be with him and he's chosen you. I know that. Eridan's just being... You try to find the word.
Son of a bitch.
Solix suggests a little bit sharply. I guess. I don't think either of us had any examples of good relationships. Cankry making me was violent. Eridan's maker was obviously awful. It makes sense that we assume that everyone else is as fucked up as we're used to. You say with a shrug.
Me and Dave grew up with bro and we still managed.
Solix says petulantly. And I eventually had you two and Matuna. You agree?
So what? Give him a chance, be nice to him, forgive him? Is that the point you're getting at?
Solix asks. You feel like you were getting to a point, but you can't quite grasp it. You shrug instead and say something else. Sure, whatever. I wanted to make sure that you were okay about what he said, or that you knew I didn't think it too. Also, that I'll kick your ass for fun someday, utterly destroying you in an entirely mortifying manner. I think that was my point. You. Beautiful.
I love them.
I love them too. You give Solix your best cheerful smile, and he looks like he wants to bite your face. How lovely for him. It'd really annoy him if you. Aridin lowers his silencing spell when you flash him a quick message to say that he can. Oh, Solix looks like he wants to scream. How fun.
What were you two even talking about?
Aridin asks warily, looking between you and Solix a few times. Oh, nothing, you say innocently, as Solix's tail flicks sharply back and forth in agitation. Aridin doesn't seem to buy that, and Solix is terrible at being convincing. You think that perhaps other versions of you, or even Cankry, might be embarrassed about this. How could you be, though? This is amazingly funny.
Well,
Aridin says hesitantly.
can we stay off the topic of my maker? At least it's kind of dangerous for me.
Sure. Actually, maybe this is related, but I hope not. How did you find me? You ask him curiously. Solix wrenches himself back on topic with a clear amount of effort.
Yeah. How did you do that? You called me.
Aridin says simply. Solix looks at you sharply, and you hold your hands up innocently. You just gave me that phone recently, and I've almost exclusively been messaging you. I'm pretty sure I didn't have the number for heaven on there, you say defensively.
I felt you wish for me, and you contacted me through some basic human device. Since you were able to contact me, I assumed it was safe to come and find you or bring you back. But that didn't work, and I ended up coming down here where I could find you directly. After something, no details, please, happened with your maker, I had to stay here and find you after my maker ordered me.
Aridin explains.
He wished for you? Like a prayer? When? He didn't remember you.
Solix points out sensibly.
For his friend, and I could still hear his voice, so I knew he meant me.
Aridin says dismissively.
Is there room for you and your ego in this room?
Solix snorts. Wait, the thing that I contacted you with, was that? Solix, I saw a video of me using something to contact someone. You threw it into hell when it caught fire, and then I was too stupid to notice you flirting. Was that it? You ask him urgently.
A Ouija board? You idiot, you nearly caught this whole place on hellfire. If I hadn't been here, then Karkat could have died, and this whole town at least would have burnt down.
Solix snarls at him. Solix and Aridin start arguing about just whose fault that is and how much it does or doesn't matter that this town would have burnt down. As for you, you reach in and grab your notes from your void. There was a handout with this, and your own notes that were at least marginally helpful. The Ouija board is a way of communicating with ghosts or spirits.
Oh.
That sounds dangerous. I'm glad that it's gone, you say quickly and stuff your notes back into your chest. You cannot have Cankry communicating with anyone else. Under no circumstances can that be allowed to happen.
They're normally fine, and your one is gone now.
Solix reassures you. I am very relieved about that, you agree.
I'm here now. What do you think I'm going to do with it? Sit here and laboriously write out my responses on it instead of talk to him?
Aridin scoffs.
True, although I really should have taken Rose's away, even though she obviously wasn't going to use hers.
Solix says casually. Oh no.
I thought the innocent had nothing to fear.
That's utter shit. The innocent have plenty to fear, the same as everyone else. I'm going to go in. I'm going to go find that and check it out just in case. It's making me nervous, you say quickly, and hurry into Rose's room.
Again, I'm right here. What would be the point?
Aridin protests, but you're not worried about him. He's not the angel that's concerning you right now. Normally, you would want to respect your roommate's privacy, but this is an emergency. You slip into Rose's room and shut the door after you. You need to find this thing, and you need to do it now. You know the rough size and shape from the video, so you know what you're looking for. Hurriedly, you paw through Rose's room, finally locating the box under her bed. There's a lot of dirty clothes kicked under here, too. Normally, you'd offer to help Rose clean them, but this is not the time or place. You yank the box out from under the bed, and in that motion, the board and the planchette topple out together. To your utter terror, it starts moving immediately.
Let me go, or...
You snatch the planchette up from the board. You can't let anyone see it. But if you use magic to destroy it, then Aridin and Solix will definitely feel it, and you don't want that either. It raises questions. Your first instinct is to eat the thing, but that will only hand the thing to Cankry, and that's the last thing you want. Shit, you need to think of a good solution to this problem. You pull Rose's window open and lean outside with the planchette in hand. What you need is help. You need this thing far away from here, and better yet, you need it destroyed. Above you, the stars twinkle in the night sky, and you seize on the first idea that comes to you. You don't have time for anything else. It's not magic or a miracle. It's just that your body is sort of negotiably real. That you're a throne, and you're meant to be strong and tough. So you can just link up some movement to the speed of your rings to move your arm hard and fast enough that you break bones that'll heal quickly. It's an emergency. You throw the planchette as hard and as fast as you possibly can into the sky. It bursts of light as it scorches through the air away from you. It probably won't leave the orbit of the planet and go to the stars like you were hoping, but it's definitely destroyed now. A little like the 2 bones in your forearm. Ow. Wait, are you raining molten plastic down on people nearby? Could that hit something? You should have perhaps thought through this more. Maybe you can work out the math on this later.
Okay.
Solix calls from the main room. Oh no, your arm is still very visibly broken even though it's healing fast. Fuck, think fast, think better than last time. In a moment of panicked indecision, you drop to the floor and shove your still healing arm under the bed because obviously Solix will never look there. You wanted to think better and this is what you got.
Did you... Oh, you found it.
Solix says as he opens the door to the room. I have the board, you say, entirely honestly.
Where's the rest of it?
Solix asks. Not here. You need all of it to work, right? So, you manage to say as your bones reform and heal up.
Yeah, you need the little pointer thing. It's probably around here somewhere. Rose's room is always a mess, though. I'm not sure I'd go rummaging under her bed like that, though. Who knows what she's got under there?
Solix says with a grin. You look under the bed as your bones snap back into place enough to look normal. They're just fractured now, so Solix won't be able to tell.
You know what? Don't tell me.
He laughs and grabs the board from the floor and puts it on Rose's desk. You sit up and rest your arm gently and definitely normally in your lap. You don't like hiding things from Solix, but you're not about to let Cankry talk to people, much less him. You can feel Cankry's belittling and lecturing tones inside of you, but you're not listening to him right now.
Huh. Rose didn't shut her window properly. Ugh. Living with her was always like this. Her leaving her stuff everywhere, leaving things open. Dave's just as bad.
Solix grumbles and pulls the window properly shut. Your room is pretty messy, you point out, quietly, as the guilt about hiding this starts to get to you. Or maybe it's just Cankry.
Organized chaos, thank you. Are you done in here? You can't just leave me with Aridin.
he says, and holds a hand out to help you up. You don't take him up on the offer. Instead, you poke him sharply in the leg in the right place to make it go numb and tingly, and then hurry up to get up and away from him before he can retaliate. You don't manage to get out of range in time, but at least that wasn't suspicious. It did get you tripped up into the doorframe, but that's fine. Your arm is basically healed, and you hit it with your shoulder anyways. Crisis averted. The Ouija board is now unusable, and nobody suspects a thing.
Okay, we're now fresh out of quote unquote working Ouija boards, apparently. And it's not like Hot Topic Angel is going to be calling you on them anyway. But don't call him and tell him things that violate spells or deals, I guess.
Solix says to Aridin as you go back into the main room. A hot topic for who? You think angels are talking about Aridin? You ask.
I hope not.
Aridin agrees warily.
I'm incredibly funny, and there's no one here to appreciate it. Whatever. Either way, we know how he found you now and why he was here. To creep on you, and then for his maker, to etc., etc. Not going into details.
Solix says.
Details. Yeah.
Aridin mumbles and looks away, probably because he doesn't want to risk any talk about his maker again, or something.
I'm guessing that you mind controlled some humans to get in?
Solix guesses.
Yeah, just for the one class.
Aridin confirms, still not looking at him. Oh, which one? You wonder.
Wait, you. Oh, that was Aridin's voice. My bad. Wait, you said you shared a class with Karkat. You told me earlier when he was gone. I guess that's not a problem now since the creepy TA getting killed canceled the whole thing. If no one's going to miss you in classes, that we don't have to find a way to explain you not going or to get Matuna in to supervise you and be all, hello, fellow kids, about it. I love problems that solve themselves before they become problems.
Solix says happily. I also like when problems aren't problems anymore and never come up again. You agree, hoping that you really didn't rain liquid plastic down across the path of that thrown planchette. Hopefully there will be no consequences to this at all.
That was a very weird thing to say.
Aridin notes, and you try not to react to that.
He's like that at the moment. Sometimes the thing he says come off as oddly intense. Some of us don't insensitively bring it up, though.
Solix retorts in your defense. Defense you don't deserve. Shut up, Cankry. He needs to stop making you feel worse or you're going to get caught. You shouldn't lie to Solix, but you're doing it for a good reason, so you're not going to feel bad. You're fine. You suggest that Solix and Aridin teach you how to play the card game that they were playing when you and Batuna got here. That could be a nice distraction, and a less intense way of dealing with your situation. Besides, you don't want Aridin upsetting Solix again, so maybe a game could be an easier middle ground. Besides, you don't know what you're doing when it comes to games like this, so teaching you is something they can do together. It proves to be a decent conversational pacing tool as well, especially when you're dealing with less intense subjects. You tell Aridin about your scarf and that your family made it for you, but you have the sense to not elaborate on just who your new family is. Aridin tells you all about how his legal cases work, and Solix adds some detail as well, apparently in how he audited a few cases with Dave when they were getting to see how everything worked. It doesn't seem like they ever ran into each other, though. Aridin and Solix clearly don't like each other much, but they're able to be pleasant enough that they have a few common areas of interest, one of which seems to be enjoying talking shit about the other in creative ways, or talking about you. Aridin watches the pair of you curiously as Solix comes back to the coffee table in a break between card games. He brought some snacks for him and Aridin from the kitchen, and a hot coffee for you. Solix nudges your hand aside, so you give him the space to put the mug down. Once he's let go of it, you take it into your own hands and sigh happily. Warm, you sigh, enjoying the feel of it. It's just comforting to you. Solix makes an amused sound, not even enough to be a laugh, and presses his warm hand to the back of your neck. It's heated from him carrying the mug over, and it's nice enough that his touch makes you sigh happily. When you open your eyes again, you see that Aridin is staring at you both.
What?
Solix asks defensively, having caught Aridin staring too.
You two are so...
Aridin trails off.
If you're going to get on my case about Black Rom, then...
Solix starts.
Please. Hate as a whole is just... Ugh. But Cockhat has more feelings than he should, and the weird is hardly news. It was old news before you were even made. Get over yourself.
Aridin retorts. What then? You ask curiously, still leaning into Solix's touch, as he's not taken his hand away. He's probably trying to prove a point or something.
I don't know. Happy, I guess. It's amazingly stupid that you're doing this at all. It's insanely risky that you were doing this before, but I'm not entirely surprised. I've just never seen you so open with someone else. We're close and you'd be relaxed with me when we were just hanging out, but the two of you are clearly just as close. A terrible judgment on your sense of taste, but still.
Aridin shrugs.
We're not just as close. I'm actually dating him. More than that, it's full permission level. You aren't dating him at all.
Solix throws that right in Aridin's face, and naturally Aridin is offended and angry about it. You look at your cards as the predictable argument between Aridin and Solix goes on, and instead you wonder about something else. It seems like Aridin really was your closest friend in heaven, and he was doing some things to protect you, but he was obviously limited in a lot of ways. It sounds like Aridin got more out of your friendship than you did. So you have to wonder, was the past version of yourself actually happy? He was happy with Dave and Solix, sure, but was he actually happy? If the contentment that you have now looks strange on you, then you wonder if the answer is no.
Ouch.
Ouch.
Ouch. The poor baby.
Poor baby.
All right. Do you want me to switch out, or are you still doing the thing?
Let's please switch out, and I'll just say real quick. Chapter 11.
You entirely understand that Aridin doesn't like Matuna, and Matuna doesn't like Aridin. Aridin's maker was evidently involved in making Matuna fall, and Matuna holds the deal that's keeping Aridin under control. Of course, neither of them like each other much. You can also understand why Aridin and Celix don't like each other. Aridin doesn't like demons because he's been taught not to, so he's not exactly overflowing with friendliness towards Celix. At best, the two of them can be chill, but they're not friends. Besides which, Celix is infuriating, annoying, rude, aggravating to absurd levels. Obviously, people would find Celix impossible to deal with. You can only manage it because you can vent your overwhelming aggravation with him by kissing him on the mouth about it. Though that last part is obviously specific to you. Perhaps other people aren't so allergic to Celix's mere presence. Whatever. The point is that you're unsurprised that Matuna and Celix aren't best pals with Aridin. You are very surprised that no one else seems to like him and that he doesn't seem to like anyone else. You can handwave Dave because Aridin knows that Dave is the Antichrist, even if Dave doesn't know that. As well as that you can assume that Celix has likely been talking shit about Aridin to Dave. So that well is likely very poisoned by now. But Rose? Jade? June? You don't understand.
We're not in any danger. Matuna made sure of it. Also, I think there was a lot of missing information before, but we've been talking all night, and we know a lot more now.
You explain.
In news that surprises no one, Karkat doesn't shut up.
Sullix agrees from an armchair, one that he's sitting on sideways with his feet and his arms hanging over each arm.
Rude.
You snap at him. Aridin rolls his eyes but says nothing. Sullix clearly notices Aridin's lack of response as I know how to read. Sullix clearly notices Aridin's lack of response as well and smirks.
See, even he's not denying it. Everyone knows that Karkat doesn't shut up.
Sullix teases you. You look at Aridin in the hopes that he'll deny this, but all he says is, It would pain me to agree with a demon.
But you do, and you're not denying it.
Sullix cackles. See, they can get on, more or less, anyway. You'd prefer it if they weren't making fun of you to do it, but whatever, you guess.
Anyways, as I was saying, I talked to Aridin a lot more, and we found out about what things were like in heaven when we were both there. We were friends, as much as anyone can be friends up there.
You explain.
Some friend.
June says right away. I don't have to justify myself to some minor false god, Aridin says tartly, sticking his nose up at her.
That's not.
You try, but no one else is listening to you.
You were going to drag him back to heaven.
June accuses him. I was going to Whoa, I know how voices work. Let me try that again. Sorry. I was going to take him home to try to do some damage control in this situation. Or if I couldn't do that, then I was going to try to figure something out. Aridin defends himself.
I don't think that he really understood what was going on.
You point out. He certainly didn't know about you being involved with June as a friend, much less your whole situation with Dave and Sullix. You're pretty sure that Aridin hadn't guessed that you'd be up. I know how to read. I'm sorry. I'm doing my best, Your Honor.
You're good, you're good.
You're pretty sure that Aridin hadn't guessed that you'd be up to this down here on Earth. Although, from everything you've heard about yourself, it doesn't seem that surprising at all.
You left him in Georgia.
Rose snarls at Aridin. Your knowledge of Georgia is that it's a place in this country, a state, not to be confused with a country of the same name, where past you woke up after the event. It's also where Kankri was for all of that time, although you two evidently didn't run into each other. Having looked it up, you also know that it is in the southeastern United States. Its capital is Atlanta, and it is 59,425 square miles in area. It is famous for peaches, and it seems to be hit by a lot of hurricanes, or at least One second, I'm gonna take a drinky, and then I'm going to try that the fuck again.
Woo! Also, just in case you guys can hear it, I'm not sure if you can, but if you're hearing a ton of coughing in the background, my roommate has been sick for like 3 months now, so
Oh damn!
I'm sorry
For
about
3
that, but I
months?
feel much more sorry for her.
How has she been sick for 3 months? She, they, I don't know what her pronouns are. Their pronouns, words.
Yeah, she. I don't know. She was just dealing with it for 2 months and then started going in to like try and get healed about it. And boy, is the progress slow.
Oh boy. All right, let me try this again. It is famous for peaches, and it seems to be hit by a lot of hurricanes, or at least more hurricanes than seem ideal to you. Admittedly, that number is 0. 0 hurricanes is the ideal number. These are the things that you know about the state of Georgia off of the top of your head. None of that seems to mesh with the tone that Rose says
Georgia.
in, because that tone would fit better with
Lake of boiling acid.
I didn't leave him anywhere, Aridin argues. Oh wait, sorry. Here, 1 second. My fiance just messaged me, and it seems kind of important. Let me answer that real quick.
Yeah.
Sorry, it seems like my fiance and their mom are going to visit my fiance's grandfather.
Gotcha.
So I was asked to watch their cousin.
Cool, cool.
Luckily, I basically just have to be in the same space as him. Like, be in the house in case he needs me.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you want to finish out this half of chapter, or should we stop right here?
Oh, we can finish this out.
Neat. Alrighty.
And I'll probably be able to finish the whole stream. I just need to be in the house with him.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, cool. I thought you had to like
You know,
go somewhere.
no. He's not a kid. He's an adult. He lives with us. He is, I know words, mentally disabled, and basically someone just needs to be in the house in case like he chokes or has a seizure or something like that.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
Yeah. So I should be able to finish this out. If something changes, I will let you know.
Sounds good. Thank you, thank you.
Welcome. Do you want me to redo the Aridin I didn't leave him anywhere thing?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I didn't leave him anywhere, Aridin argues.
You left him in Georgia for 5 years without looking for him or checking on him. You left him there with no memory of who or what he was. Who does that?
Rose accuses Aridin furiously. You glance at June, and out of the corner of your eye, you see Celix look her way for a second as well. Again, I didn't leave him anywhere. He was down here on his own against orders. I didn't have access to get down the same way without going through official channels. Not that it's any of your concern. What were you? What were you at the time? An infant or something? Aridin retorts.
She was definitely not.
You point out, but they're not listening.
You didn't look for him or rescue him, yet you claimed to be his best friend. You claimed you were in a relationship with him, that you were pale for him.
Rose says and jabs her finger in his direction. Yeah, if Celix went missing and I couldn't summon him, you'd bet your ass I'd be doing something about it. He can look after himself just fine, but I'd still give a shit. Dave agrees, and Celix is visibly pleased to hear that.
Karkat is my friend. I'm not his Moirail or anything, but if he went missing, then I'd go looking for him. I know that because we all did.
Jade adds angrily. Nobody ever understands me. You understand though, right, Ka? Aridin asks weakly and looks over at you. The thing is that you've already had this conversation with him. You know that his abilities to follow you were very limited, and that attempts to interfere with your actions when you're on Earth would risk drawing attention to you. It's probably not just that. Celix called him out for abandoning you on a mountain. But there's extenuating circumstances here. Besides, it's not as if things have ever gone this badly wrong before. His assumption that you'd probably be fine was true every other time. You watch in confusion as your friends fling accusations and insults at each other. It's not as if they have reservations about each other. None of them can stand Aridin, and he seems to feel the same back. Aridin seems fine to you. He's been messed up by heaven, but he can be funny when he wants to be. He even made Celix laugh a little over cards during the night. He cares about you, enough to fix your name and lie for you. Your friends are all good people. They're all different and likable in their own ways, but he doesn't seem to like any of them. How can he not like them when you do? How can they not see what you see in Aridin? As the argument goes on without you, it seems that Rose and Aridin hate each other most of all, which is surprising given that the literal Antichrist is another option for Aridin's hatred. You wonder if Rose dislikes him especially because she had to sleep in Dave's room last night. You want to ask why this is happening, but you worry that anything that you do say may inflame the situation more.
Carcinogeneticist began trolling Twin Armageddons. Solix, why don't they like each other?
Because Aridin sucks at a level that is chronic and obscene.
Yeah, he's an angel. The only decent ones are me and Matuna isn't technically in that category anymore. He's involved with heaven. I get that he can perhaps be a little tough to interact with, but he doesn't like any of them either, even the ones that he has no reason to dislike. And they don't like him for things that seem to have nothing to do with heaven.
And
Well, I like him well enough. Why don't other people like him?
not everyone likes people that you like.
Well, duh. I didn't expect Aridin to become best friends with you. There's too much in the way. But this doesn't apply with them.
I'll say it again. Just because you like someone doesn't mean that other people will like them too.
Why?
Because your opinion isn't the only one there is. Not everyone is like you. Thank fuck for that.
Oh. Well, I am now just picturing a world where there is one Solix and everyone else is a Carcat.
Oh god. Whoops, all cat.
Oops, all Carcat.
Okay, but like I'm pretty sure Celix would lose his fucking mind and just, I can't make out with everyone. What the fuck?
I'm just a man.
I'm just a man. Sorry. Epic, the musical brain rot.
Hell yeah.
I'm okay. It seems obvious now that Celix says it, but you hadn't really considered the end of that idea. Obviously, people are all different. Obviously, people have their own relationships. The fact that Celix is astronomically hateable is just a fact. But you're the only one who gets to indulge in that, as you're the one dating him. Naturally, Dave sees them differently because they're pale. You got that. But you hadn't fully followed.
Whoops. Satan, we lost you. Satan? Satan, can you hear me? Oh, I heard wrestling.
Are we now?
I can hear you now.
Yay!
All right, where did you miss me?
I have highlighted the line.
Thank you, you're the best.
Anytime.
But you hadn't fully followed that line of thought out beyond that, because as far as you're concerned, Jade is your friend. You're using her as an example here, but it's still true. Jade is great. She's sweet to you. She gave you food that you can eat because she cares. She loves her hellhound. She suffered at the hands of someone who was supposed to protect her, just like you did. She's smart and funny. She's objectively a great person, and you love her. People cannot know that because they don't know her well enough yet. That's understandable. But your opinion on how great Jade is remains an objective fact, and that's all there is to say on the matter. Except that might not be the case. Maybe Aridin can dislike Jade for reasons that can't be explained away by understandable angelic biases, or not knowing her enough yet. Maybe Aridin can dislike your friends and not be wrong for doing so, and they could dislike him and not be wrong for it. You try and write out several responses to this, but none of them seem right. All of them are variations on you not understanding that what you know and think about people is not entirely objective truth. There are probably better people to talk to about this. Your family would probably be helpful. You stand there and you I know how to read.
You did great though. That was a huge chunk.
Thank you. All right. You stand there in confusion as your friends argue among each other. Sullux eventually explains how this whole situation is going to work. Aridin needs to be supervised at all times because he's a dangerous angel. Supervision counts as Sullux and Matuna. Preferably Matuna, but Sullux is also acceptable. You can apparently be trusted with Aridin alone for short periods of time as long as you understand that you're supposed to tell Sullux and Matuna everything that happened. Aridin won't be going to class or to the library with you because you don't want anyone else noticing what he is, and you definitely don't want him anywhere near Silas's blood family. Matuna's deal limited a lot of the things that Arrogant? Yep, Arrogant.
Sounds close to
The
arrogance.
sister state to Oregon.
Arrogant.
I'm doing my best.
It's,
Arrogant,
it's
yes.
where air genies live.
Listen, it's the new addition to Sarkat and Jage.
You have a great memory for those things. Those left my brain long ago.
Listen, I remember really random shit. Like, could I tell you what I ate for breakfast yesterday? Absolutely not. But I could tell you in detail what my sixth birthday party was like.
Wild.
There were water balloons, and I was really pissed off that my dad got me one of those pool tab pinatas and not the kind that you can hit. I wanted to hit it.
Let there be violence, Father. Father, please.
Father, I crave violence.
Yes.
I really did. I was that kid that was like, I want to punch things. Which was my father's fault because he taught me how to punch when I was 5, and then I proceeded to punch him in the gut, and he keeled over. And then after that, whenever he was trying to show me how to punch properly, he would cover his gut.
Smart man.
Yes. All right, where the fuck was I? All right. Matuna's deal limited a lot of things that Aridin could do to himself or other people, so he's a lot easier for Sullux to track and observe. After all, this wouldn't work well if Aridin could simply vanish as he pleased. Are you really okay with this? Dave finally asks, directing the question at Sullux.
Killing him could tip Cronus off. And Karkat wants to know more about his past, so it seems like an asshole thing to do. I'm not thrilled, but it's not like this is what he wanted either.
Sullux shrugs. The fact that no one is happy about this makes the situation better? That's how it works in your mind. Aridin asks skeptically.
I like it better than me being unhappy and you being happy. Sure.
Sullux says without any shame. Why do you like this guy, Ka? Aridin asks you despairingly.
Don't look at me. I agree. He's an asshole and incredibly annoying. It's one of my favorite things about him. He's also actually really sweet and smart and.
Your speech is cut off as Sullux reaches over and covers your mouth with his hand.
I can see where this line of conversation is going. He's not my friend. Don't tell him that shit. It's one thing you running your mouth about what we get up to around these idiots that we call our friends, but not him.
Sullux says quietly in your ear. That's interesting. You weren't going to say anything too personal. Sure, you were going to jokingly brag about how great your kismesis is in bed, but you weren't going to give any actual details. You wonder if it's because he doesn't like Aridin or if it's because of what Aridin is. Interesting.
Solix is great and insufferable.
You say simply as you pull his hand away from your face. It wasn't hard because he wasn't really trying to keep you from moving. Aridin looks at Sullix with obvious distaste and then looks away sharply. Sullix seems to bristle at Aridin's reaction, but you're not sure why. It's not like he cares if Aridin doesn't like him. Weird. You have class soon, and Dave convinces you to come with him. You don't like being lectured at. You don't like being lectured at, but he, Sullix, and June all reassure you that this teacher can't carry on a train of thought long enough to lecture haughtily at anyone. On a perhaps more selfish note, you decide that you will go to class because the alternative is being in your dorm with Rose, Matuna, and Aridin. Rose looks like she's minutes away from torturing Aridin for information, and you'd actually prefer to not be there if she's going to keep being mad on your behalf. It's a little. You know that she doesn't mean it. You know she's trying to get to know you as who you are now, that she's trying to be aware of how different your species are. You appreciate all of that, but fuck. Her anger towards Aridin for leaving you alone, for making you threatened enough to form that vow in the first place, all of it, it's upsettingly pale. Upsetting because she doesn't mean it, and you don't want to be around when Aridin inevitably calls her on it. He'll see it just like you do. You'd rather be in class than be around that. By the new rules of this custody/supervision thing, you have to wait for Matuna to get here before you can leave.
Hey, Aridin.
You say quietly as the others talk about getting Matuna here.
Don't hurt Matuna's feelings again, or bring up Cronus just to upset him.
Do you even know who he really is? You can't trust him. Aridin trails off as he sees the look on your face.
He's my family. I mean it.
You say firmly. You always were too nice to people. I guess that hasn't changed. Aridin sighs dramatically, but you know it's an agreement. Sullix finally manages to summon Matuna, or perhaps he just messages Matuna enough to get him to come here. Either way, you're happy to see him when he appears.
You're going to class?
Matuna asks. You nod, but don't give any details. The professor's really relaxed. Maybe too relaxed. It's alchemy, and Sullix and June are there too. It's so supervised. Dave says hopefully.
Hey, he's the angel who needs supervision, not me.
You protest, pointing at Aridin. You're chronically in danger, man. You need so much supervision, but I'm willing to keep an eye on you, Dave promises. June coughs suddenly in a way that sounds very much like the word
Desperate.
Stay out of trouble,
Matuna tells you.
I try.
You argue. Behind you, Dave is arguing with June about her implication that Dave wants to watch you for other reasons. He's pointing out that Sullix is just as bad.
Leaving now?
Sullix says loudly and grabs you by the back of your sweater and just drags you out of the room. In fact, he drags you between Dave and June, which is one way to end a conversation.
I can't help but notice.
You say as Sullix drags you down the corridor. You're not going to start walking to help him. He got himself into this stupid situation. He's going to have to drag you the whole way there now.
You don't like talking about us around Aridin. You're fine with him knowing that we're together, but you keep getting weird whenever it gets brought up too much.
You observe. You at least make yourself a little bit later so Sullix doesn't have your weight as an excuse to stop dragging you along.
His species doesn't like it,
Sullix grumbles. Are you actually going to pull him to class the whole way? Dave calls after you as he shuts your dorm room door after June.
We started this. He's going to commit to it.
You call back.
Gotta commit to the bit. Carcat's right.
June agrees.
Anyway, what do you care what they think? It's stupid.
You say to Sullix.
You had some problems with it last time. Cultural stuff or whatever. I don't want him disapproving and making you feel. I don't want it ruining things with us.
Sullix says ever so quietly. You get to your feet properly and look at him face on, taking this seriously.
I wouldn't let him. Nothing's changing this.
We can't keep losing you. That's all. Shit, that sounds like I think you're going to drop me the moment anyone says anything. That's not what I mean.
Sullix says under his breath, keeping the conversation as private as possible as June and Dave walk closer.
I think that things have gone wrong enough for you to be allowed to be worried.
You tell him, you are something of a disaster, even if you want to deny it.
You're not gonna drag him the whole way there? Weak.
June tuts as she comes to a stop by you. In fairness, it'd be dangerous to haul him down the stairs like that. It's all fun and games until you're endlessly tumbling down staircases. Dave reasons. You see the way that Sullix winces at that very specific thought and guess that this isn't the hypothetical? God fucking damn it.
Hypnotical.
Hypothetical. Wait, we can make it Greek. Hypothetically.
Hell yeah.
All right, let me try that again. You see the way that Sullix winces at that very specific thought and guess that this isn't the hypothetical that Dave thinks it is. Something about it pings Sullix too. You probably shouldn't dwell on that, though.
I think that Mutuna would be really disappointed.
I'm sorry.
Cow themed instead of bee themed.
Ooh.
I think that Matuna would be really disappointed if he said that he was trusting us to not get into trouble and we all immediately stupidly injured ourselves.
You agree?
What's this we business? I'm fine.
June laughs, but opens the door to the stairwell anyway. Dave starts playfully bickering with June about that comment, and you watch Sullix relax a little bit. You're not going to ask, but you think that you read that correctly. As it happens, you manage to make it to class without any mortal peril, staircase related or otherwise.
Sweet. We are at the break time.
Break. God fucking damn it. Where did 11 go?
So we're going to start at
I
10
just saw
on
it
the
and
new hour.
At 1:10 my time,
Yes.
and I think you're 2 hours behind me, right?
I think so.
Oh goodness, I know how to get up. All right. So at 10, I shall see you then. Hear you then. You know what I mean.
Yeah. Good stuff. Everyone
Yeah.
get food and snacks and shit. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you soon.
Go get your yums. All right, talk to you soon, hon.
See you soon.
Hello, Mr. Obama.
Oh no, they died.
I always forget that I mute myself during break.
Yeah, I feel you.
Speaking of being muted, yes. Okay, looks like my audio is still recording. Good stuff.
Yay, so we don't have to redo this part.
Right.
I'm pretty sure I would cry. Like, hi, I'm just gonna walk directly into the sun, actually.
It's where I belong.
Yeet my corpse into the sun. Because the sun is a massive incandescent gas, a gigantic nuclear furnace.
I thought you were gonna go, the sun is a deadly laser.
It is. But no, I had to go, they might be giants with it.
Hell yeah.
I still find it incredibly funny that because They Might Be Giants is like a normal band, but they also have made some kid songs, I do believe, and made the theme song for the newer Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. That they, when they have normal concerts, they quite literally have to be like, this is not for children.
Like, we appreciate that your kids are excited about this, but we have other stuff going on.
This is not a child-friendly event, actually.
Alrighty, since you have more voices, I'm thinking I'll at least start out with narration again.
Okie dokie artichoke.
Also, I have no idea what voice I'm going to use for the teacher, so we're just going to see what happens.
You can just do like a kind old man.
A very confused, kind old man.
I'm not sure how old this professor actually is, but we can stretch things for the sake of the theater.
For the theater. I kind of see him as like being in his 50s. Like in and around there.
Yeah,
That feels
good range. Okay. When the class starts, you immediately get what Dave meant. The teacher seems very nice and incredibly absent minded. You get a 10-minute explanation of what's going on, and then you're left to work in pairs. There's directions for you to follow, and he walks around the room, helping as people need it. It's very hands off. You think you can work with this style of learning very well indeed. He stops at your table early on and quietly says that he got the message from the school about you and tells you that you don't have to do anything, and if you have to leave, then you're welcome to.
I understand. Sometimes things happen and it messes with the work you can do. Just do whatever you feel you can. No pressure, and you can email me if you want. I can write my email for you if
The teacher pauses and pats himself down a little.
I can give him your email. He definitely has it, but I can tell him which one is yours.
Dave
Dave,
offers.
oh, as I'm like, oh yeah, I'm the narrator. No, I'm not.
Right.
Thank you. Yes. Okay. Remember what I said, though.
Your teacher nods and walks off. You look at him and try to see past his mundane form. You see down to his blood and see that it's wrong. It's not moving quite like it should, and his whole system is a little bit off. It's not a sickness as such, or an injury. No one's cursed him. Whatever is wrong with his system, it looks like it's probably affecting his energy or his focus, like he drains too quickly or can't hold on to things right. Could you fix that for him? Healing is technically something you can do, but that would be verging into almost minor miracle territory, and it'd be dangerous to do something like that and get attention. You look down at the written out instructions, at the different groups he can go between, at how his class works. He seems to have found something that works with how he is. Maybe he wants to exist as he does in that way that you want to in the way that you want to be allowed to be yourself now, without being compared to who you were. He did seem understanding and compassionate towards you. Maybe you are alike. Dave explains what you've been learning in alchemy so far, and you're able to reference your past notes to do it. With a little bit of context, you can understand more of what you've written before. You're not that familiar with this way of doing magic. It's so different to doing it in angelic, but it's very clever. Do you get this too? The weirdness of having to learn how to do something that you already know how to do in a different way? You ask Solix in a hushed voice, and Solix nods. It's really interesting, and you're eager to learn how and why the experiment works the way it does. It wouldn't be hard to do this transmutation yourself, but it's so much more interesting to get to learn how to do it this way. You're delighted when Dave triggers the spell and the transformation goes off perfectly. You write out everything you can about how this happened, every detail that could be relevant. Your notes will be helpful and understandable, damn it.
So, oh fucking Jesus. Sorry. It did a jump, but it didn't go far. It just kind of like jiggled. It fucking startled me. Goddamn.
Well, I'm glad you don't have to do the huge scroll again.
Yeah, it just like, I don't know, the screen shook and it fucking scared me. I got jump scared by Google Docs.
The real villain.
So, we sort of had this thing going before.
Dave says as you hurriedly write everything down.
Like, after this class, we usually go to this one coffee place together.
Dave says, looking through his bag as he talks, not realizing that he has all of your attention with the word coffee.
I mean, it was kind of a date thing, but we used to do it before we were. Well, it was a thing.
I want to get coffee with you. Coffee and you are two of the things I like the most. You tell him before he can change his mind. Dave looks at you and then slowly smiles, as if he thought that you might not want to go, as if you being into this and into him is in question.
That's so cool. That's awesome. I love that.
Dave says as he hurriedly types away on his phone. You have just enough time to wonder who he's trolling when you hear Solix's phone vibrate on literally the other side of the table to you two. Solix whines a little, but types back a response, which seems unneeded as the two of them are opposite each other.
Solix can watch Eridan, so you don't need to hurry back or anything. We can just hang out at the coffee place.
Dave tells you.
You're lucky that I like Dave so much.
Solix adds, apparently it's fine to have this conversation aloud now. Hey, don't you like me? You ask him.
Ew, no.
Solix says immediately and pokes his tongue out at you, though you know he's just teasing. He likes you plenty. You're still thinking about it when you're all let out of class a few minutes later, or at least after you've cleared everything up from your experiments and then left. June and Solix go back towards the dorm, and Dave leads you off elsewhere. It's definitely selfish, but I really don't want to go back to the dorm at all right now. I'm sure that Eridan and Rose aren't going to be best friends all of a sudden. You admit, following Dave outside.
No, man, I think she'd really enjoy stabbing him. I don't think she will do it, but she really doesn't care for him at all. especially since he admitted that he had pale feelings for you and tried to make it sound like you were dating.
Dave tells you, "Oh, I don't want to think about it." You groan.
I'm all for not thinking about other people's terribly gay problems or gay terrible problems. Not thinking about it either way.
Dave says, seemingly confusing himself a little as he talks. You can't help but find Dave's rambles endearing. You doubt that it's the result of an incredibly supportive life growing up. Even if he spent time with his mother this time around, it's probably more likely the result of mostly just talking to himself. Did I do that too? Before all this? The whole talking like you just did thing? You ask him curiously.
I feel like you're making fun of my excellent and definitely present brain to mouth filter.
Dave says suspiciously. Sure, but if it makes you feel better, I don't technically have a real brain. Or a mouth, I suppose. You say, and catch a strange look from a passerby.
No brain, head empty.
Head empty.
So, no head?
No mouth, no luck.
No mouth? No mouth. Oh, okay. I know how to do things. Yeah, maybe. You're still wah, 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 wah. I know how to read.
Doo doo.
I'm sorry. I'm doing my best.
You're doing great.
Yeah, maybe. God damn it. Yeah. Come on a second. I am taking a drink and recalibrating my brain for a second.
Good stuff.
Sometimes you need to recalibrate the noggin.
Unlike Carcat, we are cursed to have one.
Yeah. Cursed to have a brain. And it doesn't work like it should. But it's doing its best, probably. Alright. Yeah, maybe. You're still like it when you and Sullix bicker, but you're still you, you know? You still talk like you, even if it's a little bit different. It's not a bad or good thing, it's just a thing.
Dave says simply. It makes a certain amount of sense that a god of time, dormant though he is, would be a lot more at ease with the idea of people changing over time. You appreciate it. He doesn't compare you to the past all that much. Still, the similarity between your past self and Dave does suggest that you mostly talked to yourself, or talked without anyone listening to. You leave Cankry with that suspicion, and let the long lineup of follow-up questions fill your head so he can deal with hearing them.
Okay, so the coffee place is great. I kind of started a thing about ordering the most obnoxious and complex drinks when we went there, but I'm thinking that you might not be down for anything more involved than plain old coffee. So we don't have to do that. I'll probably get the basic kind of thing too, so it doesn't look too different and make yours look odd. I haven't actually tried all of their syrups and stuff without going nuts with adding everything else too. It could be nice to go simple for a change.
Dave muses as he explains your history with the place. You ask for a little clarification, and Dave shows you pictures on his phone of the drinks that you both ordered together in the past, explaining what's in all of them. That's definitely way outside your comfort zone. You absolutely don't want to have any of that.
Yeah, I thought it might be too much.
Dave says when he catches your expression. He offers to let you sit down as he orders, but you're curious to see how the process goes and you want to watch. It is interesting to watch, and you want to see if you can convince Rose to somehow get one of these big coffee machines in your dorm. You could replace your bed with it. You don't sleep. You're fine.
I don't need sleep, I need coffee.
It's all I need.
Absolutely.
Dave orders 2 plain black coffees and then gets a shot of vanilla in his. The only difference between the two is how one of the cups gets something squirted into the bottom of it first from a station that has an array of bottles with pump tops.
I think the staff thinks that I'm fucking with them, that the sudden simple order is a grand misdirect for greater shenanigans.
Dave says as he walks you to a table with both cups in his hands. I'd never rule future shenanigans out with you, you comment.
So rude, and also accurate. Here's yours.
Dave says, checking the writing on both cups before putting one down on your side of the table. A part of you is waiting for Dave to try to convince you to just try his slightly different coffee, but he's not. He's telling you about the experiment that you were doing in class, going back to his earlier explanation that you'd been noting down. You do pull out your notebook and let it magically fill itself as Dave explains things, but you have to cross out the text a few times as it starts jumping track to wondering about the coffee thing. What is a shot of vanilla? You ask wearily, finally unable to focus enough against the pressure of not knowing.
Oh, they have all of those syrups over there, which are basically just sugar and water, I think. Vanilla is a plant. A bean. Yeah, it's a bean. I think they...
Dave frowns and then pulls his phone out. You look curiously at it as Dave types it into an app on his phone and then hands it to you. It's an article about how vanilla extract is made, and then he shows you the ingredient list for the syrup that the coffee place has over there on the far wall.
I don't know how authentic and natural it is. For sure, some of those flavors are nowhere near anything you find in nature. But vanilla is pretty simple.
Dave explains. Can I smell it? You ask curiously.
Sure.
Dave says, and hands it to you. He didn't have much left at all. Clearly he wasn't trying to bait you into drinking it. It does smell nice. You are a little tempted to taste it. If it weirds you out, then you can always... Well, you can't spit it out. That's probably rude. You read in one of your history books that human attitudes towards spitting change over time based on diseases and different cultures, so it'd probably be safer to set whatever you drink on fire if you don't like it. Not Dave's cup, of course. You don't need to set that on fire. Just yourself. That'd be rude to set his coffee cup on fire.
I don't need to set the coffee cup on fire, just myself.
Just myself. It's the polite thing to do.
It is.
What an incredible plan. Well, you have a plan. You can consider trying this. Could I try some? You ask, still feeling a little bit anxious about it.
Oh, really? I didn't think... Of course you can, man. I'm glad I didn't go with their unicorn dream syrup then, because that definitely put you off.
Dave says in surprise. They make drinks from the dreams of unicorns? What? How is that even? You start in utter horror.
It's not actually that. They just call it that. I don't even know what it's meant to taste like. This isn't that though, just normal vanilla, the literal vanilla option.
Dave reassures you. You are very dubious about that other option, but you'll trust that this is an okay thing to drink and contains no unicorns or their dreams. You have a cautious sip, prepared to set yourself on fire, and setting the cup down just in case. You don't actually need to do that. The flavor is different to your coffee, and it's pleasant enough. A whole mug of it might be a little much for you now. A whole mug of it might be a little bit much for you now, but you're pleased that you tried it. Thanks, you say, and hand Dave his drink back.
Anytime. Did you like it?
He wonders, and drains the last of his drink. Again, he's not pushing you to finish it or anything. I think so. I'm not sure I could have had a whole one, though, you admit.
We don't have to go back anytime soon. I could get us the same again, and you could trade with me when you want.
Dave offers, appealing to your love of coffee and deep desire to not go back to Airden and Rose arguing about pale rum or you or anything. I'll agree to that. You nod, and so Dave goes off to get back in line.
If we're really wanting to avoid going back to the dorm, we could go do something. I've been making a sort of secret and sneaky plan, and today is nice enough to do it, despite the whole recent winter thing, deep freezing everything and all.
Dave says when he returns. Oh? You ask, curious about forbidden knowledge.
I've been wanting to ask you on a date. I said about doing this properly, and I wanted to do the whole romance thing, so I planned something out. Normally, dates involve going to get something to eat, but I know you don't like that, so I had a different plan.
Dave begins to say. Some part of you is wary that any of this could be a trick to try to get you to do something you don't want to do, to drink or eat something you're not okay with yet. But Dave hasn't ever given you any reason to think that he'd tamper with anything that you consume. He's hidden information from you before and apologized. This suspicion is unfounded and possibly not yours. Either Kankry is trying to make you feel on edge, or he. Well, Solix is your kismesis, and that's nothing like anything that Kankry ever had. It's not something that happens in heaven. But Flush and Pale happen up there. That's something he's seen. Was Kankry's relationship with Cronus so terrible that he suspected him all of the time? Or was it that he could never trust anything from someone else was what it seemed? Rose is giving off mixed signals. Aridin's loyalties belong to Cronus no matter what Aridin wants, but Dave is someone who is romantically interested in you without having any ulterior motives. Except you can feel Kankry's certainty that there must be something. You know what Dave is, what he did to all of time. Clearly he must be trying to make you drink something you don't want to in a coffee shop as a betrayal of your trust? Seriously? I would love to go on a date with you. What was your secret plan? You ask, and drink your coffee without suspecting anything. It's obviously entirely fine. Of course it is.
Well, okay, so like I said, people usually go out to eat, but you're not about that right now. I was thinking maybe I could, like, feed your brain. The brain you don't have. Whatever. There's a museum not too far from here and a cool historic park on the way. They've got all sorts of cool artifacts and exhibits there. I figured it'd be very much your jam.
Dave tells you. A museum? You ask curiously, and Dave pulls up the information on his phone. There is so much to learn there! Please, yes, can we? You ask, desperately eager to go. Dave smiles at you.
Excited.
He's so adorable. He's so excited.
Love you.
Dave smiles at you, not laughing at you, but happy that you're excited. He's beautiful and perfect. He puts lids on your little cups and leads you out of the coffee place because you absolutely cannot wait any longer than you have to. The route to the museum is, as Dave said, through a historic park. It's really close to the coffee place as it happens, and you're excited to see that there are little plaques and signs all over the place.
So the history here is that way back when, back in the olden times.
Dave starts as you walk close to the giant statue and fountain. There's a sign here with the dates on it, you point out, only for Dave to ignore you.
Back in the olden black and white era, they didn't trust magic or people who were different, which was entirely limited to anyone who wasn't like the people in charge, really. Anyway, as a way to tell who did and didn't have magic, they dunked people in these giant water baths, and if they floated, they were witches, and if they didn't, they. I know how to read.
Reading all
Anyway, as a. Listen, I may have read several fics by Unda that are either close to or like over 1,000,000 words, but I sure can't fucking read.
It's just the way of it.
It really is. Anyway, as a way to tell who did and didn't have magic, they dunked people in these giant water baths, and if they floated, they were witches, and if they didn't, they weren't, I think. Although if they didn't float, then they definitely drown and be dead, so it was all really cruel and pointless anyway.
Dave explains. That's not how you can tell if someone has magic. Also, all life is magical at some level. That doesn't make any sense, you point out.
Oh, for sure. It was just a shitty excuse to marginalize, terrorize, and kill people. It wasn't actually an honest way of finding out what they claimed they wanted to. It was all bullshit. And I'm saying this as a guy with magic who is black but has albinism, so it's definitely spooky and weird. They'd absolutely have killed me too.
Dave lifts off one thing at a time on his fingers as he talks. And your demonic Moirail, you add, omitting the fact that he's not just a human since he's not meant to know, and you did promise Solix not to ruin everything with that.
Sullux may have been the first thing to give me away. I'll admit that. Oh, and not being straight too. That'll definitely make my case worse.
Dave agrees. Is there a finite point of it being worse? Because I think Solix alone would do it, you ask.
Well, yeah, there's only so much set on fire or drowned you can be.
Dave concedes, and points to the statue of witches about to be burnt, huddled together on top of stone-rendered kindling and bound in place. You look it over, taking in the details, and you read the accurate historical sign about it and why this statue and fountain combination was erected. Not that Dave's description is bad, but this is a lot more factual.
I kind of like that they set up the university here. A real fuck you to the whole thing. But it's also like these things get better, I guess. I hope they'd be happy that it got to this eventually.
Dave murmurs, a quiet kind of hope in his voice. You look at the names on the base of the statue and consider that. There's probably something in that, but you've looked at your history books, you still have so much to learn, but it seems like the same things keep happening over and over. It's not as if it's better elsewhere, is it? You hadn't learned about this exact event, but you understand the expression of a witch hunt. It feels like your memories of heaven, and if you're found guilty, then you get burnt, either like this or as an angel falling. Would they be happy? You ask. You're not sure of the answer, so you're not challenging Dave on it, just wondering.
I don't know. Maybe they'd just be mad about it. That'd be fair. The first spell they teach us here is fire resistance, and that's because of this. I want to think that things get better given enough time, you know?
He says. You sip your coffee and think about that. You don't have a better answer, and you think that Dave's one is nice. You want it to be true, at least. You peek into the large water tubs that make up the fountain. They're not running right now, and there's a little note saying that there's going to be maintenance soon. The sudden cold snap from winter burst some pipes, and now the water is just still. The rest of the park is a lot more conversationally pleasant to go through. There's all kinds of magical plants and magically useful plants in dedicated little beds, each paired with an explanatory sign. You're eager to write down everything, and Dave even takes photographs of the plants for you and promises to print them off so you can add them to your notes. You haven't forgotten the grim tubs of water to test poor victims, or the statues of those to be burnt. You learnt about all of it. But the fact is that it's not at the forefront of your mind when you get to the museum, a short walk from the other side of the park. Dave holds your hand as you both walk into the museum, and he pays as you use your free hand to take one of every leaflet they have so that you can read them later. He shows you around, or he tries to, at least. He's not been here before either, so what really happens is he leads you to the big directional sign that says what is in each direction, and you end up picking one on a whim. The section that you choose is the animals section. Dave is really excited to tell you things that he already knows about bird skeletons and dead things in general. There's plenty of things that he doesn't know, and you're thrilled that he seems as keen to learn about everything as you are. You don't hate your curiosity, even if Cankry does, but sometimes it can make you feel a little isolated to be the only person interested in learning things. Everyone else already knows what you want to learn, or they just aren't that interested. It's not always the case, of course, but it often is. It's nice to stand next to Dave as both of you marvel at a display of skeletons belonging to the animal family of cetaceans. You can see the differences between each species and read all of the explanations as to how they have all adapted to their environments differently.
We should find where they keep the birds. I want to take pictures and compare.
Dave says eagerly. Compare in private, you say quietly, since you're not going to blow your cover in the museum for that.
Obviously, you can't do it here.
Dave agrees. Well, actually, I could, maybe. I can make people not look at me, but getting everything out would be... You pause. Yeah, a big risk for no real reason. Shapeshifting for fun is one thing. Risking revealing something that's a very obvious tell about your species is another. Matuna did tell you to keep out of trouble. You and Dave do eventually find the bird section. There's old fossils, feather samples from modern birds, and all kinds of interactive exhibits. The two of you sit and watch a video about the evolutionary history of birds and how they evolved flight. There's speculation about whether any of these dinosaurs possessed magic, because they have strong evidence that... Ooh, I don't know how to pronounce that.
Archaeopteryx.
Thank you. Because they have strong evidence
I
that
fucking love Archaeopteryx. Sorry.
What makes Archaeopteryx so cool?
I love him. Sorry, go ahead.
What's something awesome about it? Share.
He had teeth.
Didn't the majority of them have teeth?
Well, Archaeopteryx was like one of the first birds, I do believe, or like closer to birds than other dinosaurs.
Sick.
He was just a funky little dude.
Hell yeah. Dino facts.
Dino facts.
There's speculation about whether any of these dinosaurs possessed magic, because they have strong evidence that Archaeopteryx might, as it's either the direct ancestor or has close enough relation to modern dragons. You're not sure how likely it is that they came about just like that. Dragons can hibernate into other states of existence and out of this plane's time for a while, so finding a historical record could be tough. Still, it's all really interesting. There's no evidence that Archaeopteryx could breathe fire, but it definitely flew. There's a central exhibit that shows the dinosaur in skeletal, muscled, and then feathered layers. You admire its bright colors and predatory little face. It's really cool.
So, did prehistoric angels look like this? Huh?
Dave teases you in a whisper. Dave knows damn well that it doesn't work like that. You're not from this plane, and you didn't evolve at all. Cancri was directly created by your god, and you were made by him. No evolution involved. He's just being funny. Still, you look over this long dead dinosaur and its sharp teeth, its darker scaly skin underneath those feathers, and its avian eyes all set up for hunting. You project a very strong magical "don't look here" spell and turn to look at Dave. You let your form shift, not into your full angelic form, or even getting your wings out. No, you change into something that you're not. Your skin darkens to a reddish gray, going scaly and sprouting fine dark feathers. Your eyes sharpen into an avian gold, the structure of them changing to match the dinosaur before you. You don't get your wings out, but you can feel them slip a little too, forming dinosaur-like claws in the bend of them. Then, finally, you smile for Dave, showing off a mouthful of deadly dinosaur teeth. Dave's breath catches, and you can see through his shades with these eyes. You can see his eyes go wide as they look you over. His hand clutches tight on the museum map, and you think for a second that you've frightened him. But no, that's not what's happening here. You watch his skin bloom red almost as magically fast as your dinosaur transformation. Apparently, he thinks this is nice to look at. Either that or the bits of his brain that should register something as unsettling or scary have been rewired to other parts of his mind. You're a little bit curious to test that theory, so you try to reproduce one of the dinosaur sounds that you heard in the video. Not a terrifying roar, but a low churr that was almost bird-like. And, yep, apparently you playing with your form does in fact do something for him.
I need to take a million photographs of you.
Dave finally manages to say. You let your body snap back to normal and grin at him. Not here, though.
Oh, yeah, sure, cool. That's I mean, we could uh my place.
Dave asks, his voice edging up higher. As wonderfully easy as it is to fluster you, you begin.
Did you just call me easy?
Dave interrupts, but you keep going. I really don't want to go back to the dorm yet. I'm really not eager to be around Rose and Aridin together. You tell him. Dave gets his phone out and checks it quickly, tapping out a quick message and then reading the response.
If you're worried that they're getting on like a house on fire, which is to say badly because houses on fire are bad, then you're correct. So, yeah, let's maybe avoid things and stay here for a little longer.
Told you. You sigh. You're back to normal now, so you can ditch the don't look here thing and walk around the museum like before. You're still absolutely filing away knowledge that messaging with you're still absolutely filing away the knowledge that messing with your form like that gets a reaction from Dave. You fully intend to exploit that later.
Love that dearly.
What is the point of shapeshift if not to have a little fun?
Exactly. But yeah, I admittedly am now looking at pictures of Archaeopteryx. He was just such a fun dude. But yeah, he's believed to be the missing link between dinosaurs and birds. And apparently he was only about 20 inches from snout to tail and he weighed around 1 to 2 pounds.
Oh my god. It's so
So
small.
little.
Oh,
So small.
now I'm picturing a world where we could have pet Archaeopteryxes.
Please. Oh my goodness, please. He's just a little
He's
guy.
just a little guy.
I love him very many. And also, something that I find kind of fun is the fact that, there's Archaeopteryx, which is, a bird like dinosaur. And then there's also Archaeopteryx, which is a big ass tree.
Ah. Tiny burb dino, giant tree. The difference is the pronunciation.
Archaeopteryx. Yeah, I'm trying to find. Yeah, it was a big ass tree that like kind of went up and then had like tufts towards the top, it looks like.
Nice.
He is long gone. Big, big, big ancient tree.
How high does the sycamore grow?
Big,
Big. It grows big.
big. Oh yeah, the Archaeopteryx tree went extinct at the end of the Devonian period. So this man never saw dinosaurs.
Oh no. Well, we're in the same boat then.
Yeah, vanished around.
Sad handshake.
Yeah. I also never saw dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like, okay, so is there more time between Archaeopteryx and Archaeopteryx? Or more time between us and Archaeopteryx?
Like that thing about how Cleopatra was closer to us than the building of the pyramids.
Yes, which I think is fucking nutty.
Absolutely.
Or, okay, one of my favorite facts. Okay, so sharks are older than trees.
Right.
But get this, The Appalachian Mountains are older than sharks.
Nice.
And the Appalachian Mountains are also older than Pangea.
Oh, like older than it's splitting, or
Older than before it formed.
I don't know why I thought Pangea was the starting state. It's been a while since I've thought about geology on a real level.
Oh no. Yeah, let me look it up. As we're just like, here's some interesting facts.
It's the info
Oh
dumping part of the session.
yes. History of supercontinents. Yeah, all known supercontinents include Rodinia, Gondwana, Kennerland, Valbara, and Pangea.
Nice.
Ooh, Rodinia, geological distinct from Pangea and Columbia, the only supercontinent to experience snowball Earth glaciations at low latitudes. And Gondwana, a southern landmass that formed when Pangea split apart about 250 million years ago. And yeah, Pangea is the latest supercontinent. So it is the newest supercontinent.
New kid on the block, trying to prove itself.
Yeah. And Amasia, a possible future supercontinent that could form when Asia and the Americas merge. And Pangea Ultima, a possible future supercontinent that could form when the Americas, Europe, and Africa remerge.
Planet's so crazy.
Listen, I love geological time. It's like me telling people that I love history and they probably think shit like, oh, standard historical stuff, like, I don't know, colonial era or Victorian or like World War II or ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, like standard stuff. And I'm like, send me to the Devonian.
I want to go.
Yeah, like, dude, I just want, I forget in what era. It was either like the Devonian or the Carboniferous. It might have been the Devonian. But my favorite funky little dude, whose name was quite literally Paderpes.
That's amazing.
And he looks like if you asked a child to draw a frog from memory. He is such a funky little guy, and I love him dearly.
How do you spell that? I wish to see the strange frog.
PE, the word derp, and then ES.
Paderpes. Oh.
Isn't
Little
he cute?
guy.
I love him. I could hold him. He is small enough that I could hold him. I could gently hold him in my arms. He would likely be slimy, but that's okay.
I'm showing off what Paderpes look like to the stream.
Please, come look at Paterpes. What a beautiful man. It also looks like he had more than 5 toes, at least one, two, three, four, five. Do I know how to count? Okay, in some art, it looks like he has 6 front toes, but I'm curious. How many toes did you have?
I need to know for science.
For science. There were some, I forget the actual term, but I watch a lot of PBS Eons and they jokingly call them fishopods, which they're basically some of the first amphibians. I know words. I don't know if Paderpes counts as a fishapod, but Paderpes is an extinct genus of early Carboniferous stegocephalian. Um, so they're not among the first of the things, but there were some fishopods that had more than 5 toes.
They were just vibing with weird ass numbers of toes.
How different do you think society would be, if at all, if we had like 6 instead of 5?
That is a very good question. And there is actually PBS Eon's video talking about why most creatures now have 5 toes or 5 fingers. I think it was like optimum number.
Cute. I like all the different colors
And
that people
welcome,
give Archaeopteryx.
right? They deserve it. Okay, so apparently the word stegocephalia is a clade of vertebrate animals containing all fully limbed tetrapodomorphs. It is equivalent to a broad definition of the superclass. Basically, it's just bitches on land that have bones.
Why? Who's giving all these bitches these bones?
It was me.
I like this photo because it shows how small Archaeopteryx was. And adorable.
He was just a little guy.
Sweet. Alrighty,
All right.
I should go do things with the rest of my day.
Yeah. And I know words. I do not know words. That's a lie. Um,
All good. I hope everybody
I
has a
have
wonderful day.
yeah. Hope everyone has a good day and thinks about Carcat flustering Dave by turning into dinosaur.
It's such a great image.
It really is. I love it so much. Like, ah yes, let's go on a cute date to the museum. Dinosaur.
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 Truly, they learned things about themselves today.
They really did. All right, I shall talk to you later.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.